Hey, good morning. What's up, everyone? It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, in the house. Hey, it's Sunday morning. You know what that means. It's another edition of and it's NFL Sunday morning with me, Ryan Flowers. Now, listen, hey, week 3 is upon us. It got started Thursday with the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to talk about Mitch Trubisky and what I think the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do moving forward because I think they're missing out on an opportunity. Also, I want to talk about early season contenders. Now, I've shifted some things around from my previous show a couple weeks ago, where I had a couple teams in that what I thought were legit. Now, some of them are there, some of them are not. We'll take a look at that. Also, my week 3 predictions. I got some big ones today that I want to talk about. And finally, my clutch picks of the week. I'm finally back at 500. Had a really good week last week. Called some really good games. So, hey, what more else can I say? Other than sit back and relax, hey, we got a great show for you guys today. No opening scenes or clips today. I'm working on a new system, so hey, I'm trying to figure out the kinks. But hey, let's just get straight into it. But before we do that, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe to the channel right now. Hey, I got this is exciting times for me right now. I am part of the Grid Network. This is a collaboration of several other talented content creators, literally from other NFL shows. We have not daily sports talk shows, but other shows that talk about all the other sports. I believe we'll have wrestling, we'll have baseball, we have all other great shows and content being pumped out of the Grid Network. So you want to check that out. Make sure you hit up that and subscribe to the Grid Network. All right, so check that out. But hey, let's get straight into the show. Listen, Pittsburgh Steelers. They were my dark horse to win the AFC North. Now, I haven't backed off on them completely, but I will say this: it's starting to. It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem because the quarterback. This defense is legit. This is a top tier defense, even with T.J. Watt not even suited up because he's on IR for the torn pectoral muscle. They still have other dogs on that defense. And what's crazy right now is that the offense can't get it going. With Najee Harris, George Pickens, they just drafted, Deontay Johnson, uh, Claypool. They got some other guys out there, and they just aren't getting it done. Now, Mitch Trubisky is Mitch Trubisky. I would have thought he would have learned something being a backup in Buffalo for a year, but he still is not making the reads. And I don't know if it's because they don't trust him enough to go out there and sling the ball to some of these guys. Maybe that the way Big Ben used to do back in the day. But I have no idea what's happening with this whole situation. And to me, it's crazy because it's like, dude, like how how are we, or excuse me, but the Steelers, you go and get Kenny Pickett, you go and get him, but you got him sitting on the bench. And I get it. You got to give Mitch Trubisky some time. Some people say that he probably needs another week or two, but this team doesn't have another week or two. And I know it's still early. They're 1-2. They could have easily been 0-3 if it wasn't for that, the kickers, or excuse me, the Bengals missing up on the kick, in week 1. However, though, it's just the fact that they still are my guys. I'm still going to ride with them because I believe in their defense. I believe in Mike Tomlin, but they're going to have to make a decision soon on what they're going to do with Mitch Trubisky, right? Maybe they get to week 5 and week 6. I don't know. But by then the season might be lost. They can't afford to lose another game. And I don't know what their schedule is like ahead, but they cannot afford to lose another game, especially because they're not putting up points. Their defense is holding teams for the most part. Now, I know they gave up 29 points. And if you watch that game, it was kind of like, the Browns kind of did what they wanted to do for the most part, even with the Jacoby Brissett. And I'll give them credit, right? But I felt like if the Steelers can get some offense going, it'll take some pressure off of their defense. And Mitchell Trubisky is not the guy. And if you're Mitchell Trubisky, it's all right, man. You're probably just going to be a backup for the rest of your career in the National Football League, which is a good living. It's a solid living. But at this point, the Steelers, you're going to have to do something because it's not working. It's not working. And I know Pittsburgh Steelers fans are waiting to see Kenny Pickett, see what he can do. Now, Pickett may go in, and he may stink. And that's another issue you might have to deal with. If you bring in the guy too early, he's not successful, and then you bench him, and you go back to the guy that you originally picked, how do you go back to Kenny Pickett later on in the year and say, you know what, man, we need you again? It's kind of like what happened to Tua, with him last year. He would start, they pull him, they put Fitzpatrick in, he doesn't play well, Tua goes back in. So, this is a tough situation. I will say that it is a tough situation for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I think maybe you give Mitchell Trubisky about another week, 2 weeks at most, and by then, I think you would have enough to go and say, you know what, hey, we saw, we came, this is what this guy is. We're not getting it done offensively. We're gonna have to move in a different direction, and that's how it's gonna be. And if you do go with Kenny Pickett, you gotta let him stay there, regardless. He's gonna have to take his lumps in some form or fashion. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that. All right, enough about that. Um, let's get into early contenders again. The Clutch Sports Talk, our NFL Sunday morning early contenders. Listen, now this has shifted around just a little bit. I've added another team into tier one. I don't know if you guys remember who watched my show a couple weeks ago. I only had two teams. I had the Bills and the Rams, and the Bills went into LA on Thursday night to open up the season and destroyed the Rams. Now I've added another team, a team that probably is going to win the AFC West, and I didn't pick them to win the AFC West. I came to pick in second because of what's happening with Denver right now. But you never know. But listen, the Kansas City Chiefs are legitimate. Okay, I've watched them now a couple times, and I even mentioned, watching them in the preseason, and I'm just like, dude, this team is good. This team is good, and I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. You still have Patrick Mahomes, you still have Andy Reid. That's the core nucleus. Now, a lot was said when Tyreek Hill left, rightfully so. Tyreek Hill is a talent. You seeing what he's doing now for Tua in Miami, it's rolling. But when you have the offensive genius like an Andy Reid and a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, anything is possible. And this defensive front is pretty good. Now the back end it's always been shaky. That's just how they play, right? But this team knows how to win games, and their game travels. Their game travels. You don't see the Kansas City Chiefs getting blown out. You just don't. So I've added them up to tier one. I think these are the three top teams in the National Football League. I wish my comment section was working today. Like I said, I'm messing with a new system, and I really don't know how to get the the comments going. So I'll keep it real with you. So, but it's a work in progress. We'll figure it out probably by next week. But anyway, tier two, I got Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Eagles. The Eagles are 2-0. They look pretty good. A good win against the Minnesota Vikings, who are quote unquote going to win the NFC North. Thrashed them, just thrashed them. Okay. Now it's still early in the season, but the Eagles are looking pretty potent. Jalen Hurts is looking pretty solid, and that's an understatement. Okay. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm a little concerned, but really realistically, I already had the Eagles winning that division anyway. I don't, and I'll talk. Maybe I might talk about the Cowboys a little bit. I don't know, but anyway, Baltimore Ravens, even though they lost last week, they gave up a big lead to the Miami Dolphins. They can put up points, and I think their defense is going to get righted somehow, some way. Now, they're maybe not as strong on defense as they once were, but they're still the Baltimore Ravens, and that's something that Baltimore Ravens can always hang their hat on, is having a strong defense. Lamar Jackson is going to play phenomenal. Of course he will, right? It's not the regular season that I'm concerned with him. It's the postseason. So they're still in the hunt. I'll give them that. And the Miami Dolphins, I'm going to shoot them up to tier two. I had them at tier three at one point. I'm going to shoot them up to tier two just because of that big on-the-road win. And you guys are going to be surprised at my pick today with them. So, we'll keep that in mind. Tier three to round it out, you got the Denver Broncos. Listen, you still have Russell Wilson. He's still trying to figure it out with his head coach. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, he's going to have to do a better job of game day decisions. His decision-making skills are not the best. I believe he just hired a new consultant to help him with game day decisions. Shoot, I'm available, man. You could have gave me a call. You can gave me a six-figure salary. I'll tell you what you need to be doing at the end of the games. Okay, son? All right. San Diego Chargers, you still got Justin Herbert, although he is hurt. They were close to winning that game. Not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before against the Kansas City Chiefs. So they can easily be in tier two, but with Justin Herbert being injured right now, and I still don't trust their coach. I still don't trust his ass. So I'm gonna have to respectfully keep them down there at tier 3. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh Steelers. This is it. They got about one more week, 2 weeks. If they don't make the switch and Kenny Pickett doesn't ball out, they're gonna be out because they're steadily falling. Even though I had them picked to win the AFC North, it's not looking good for me. That pick is not looking great. So we'll have to see what happens there. All right, we got the Green Bay Packers. Listen, I know they played the Bears last week Sunday, and it's the Bears, but I think they're gonna figure it out. You still have Aaron Rodgers. You still have a run game in Dillon and Green. Is it Green? Yeah, right. Um, or Jones, excuse me. I'm thinking about Amon Green. He ain't played in years. And Jones. Your defense is still formidable. Now the coaching, it could be questionable. But I think they can figure it out. They'll win some games. They'll stay in that tier 3 level. That's my projection for them. That's why I have them there, right? San Francisco 49ers, Trey Lance is out. Here comes back Jimmy Garoppolo. He's back in the saddle. So can he take this team? George Kittle get the start today. He's getting the start today, so it'll be his first live action. So that offense should be a lot better today. Should be a lot better today. They got a tough test because I believe they're on the road in Denver, and so that'll be a tough test for them. Excuse me. And then the New Orleans Saints. This is another team kind of like Pittsburgh. Like they really disappointed me last week, and they disappointed me week 1. They barely pulled out the win against Atlanta, right? And then you couldn't put up any touchdowns last week against Tampa in a close game. So with the offensive power that they have, so we'll have to wait and see. But they're kind of bordering right there too, man, and getting kicked out. And the Minnesota Vikings, listen, any primetime game, you can't count them because they're not going to win. I had picked them to win that game. I put money on the Vikings, and not only did they lose, they got whooped. They got whooped on national TV, and that's part of the reason why I can't support them as much as the media and some of their fan base does, because Kirk Cousins does not play well during prime time, or at least his record isn't great in prime time. Okay, so I and stuff like that. It really plays home to me because listen, bro, like I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So it is what it is. So that's where we're at. So there we go. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. These are the early on contenders. And this is going to change. I maybe do this again in about another couple weeks, get some more games under our belt, and we'll see what happens after that. So, but listen, what else can I say? I mean, I can't believe it's already week 3. Can you believe that? Well, I mean, the year is almost over. So, but if you guys want to hear me talk about that, let's get straight into our week 3 predictions. Okay. So, all right, here we go. We got the Saints on the road traveling to Carolina. This is a divisional game. This one can go either way. I was back and forth on the fence with this one because part of me says Carolina's due, right? They're due. But then a part of me is like, well, the Saints can get it done. But I think out of respect, I'm going to go with the Saints. My mother-in-law was a huge Saints fan. We lost her in May. She's a huge Saints fan, so I vow to support the Saints moving forward for the rest of my life. So I'm going to go with the Saints. I'm going to choose the Saints to take care of business, and the Carolina Panthers are going to fall and go to 0-3. And I think the Baker Mayfield experiment is going to be done at some point, depending on how he plays. All right. Texans and Chicago. I like the Texans in this game, and you're like, why? Who cares, right? Well, look. Texans, they're what? They won one, they lost one and drew one. So they're 0-1-1. They played tough in both of their first 2 games. Probably should have won the first one because they were up on the Colts. They're playing tough. You're going to Chicago. Justin Fields, this is not a good football team. It's not a good football team. And I think the Texans can get this one done. This is not a great game to watch. It's not a lot of firepower on the field. But if you're bored, if you're in between commercials, this might be a game you want to tune into, right? But I'm going to go with the Texans to take this one. I got the Chiefs on the road traveling to a struggling Indianapolis Colts team, a team that got just doused last week on the road in Jacksonville. They're looking to get in the win column. They're 0-1-1 as well. But the Chiefs are rolling. I just don't. Shaquille, whatever his name is, Leonard is out. Shaq Leonard, whatever his name is now today, He's going to be out. I think they get Michael Pittman Jr. back today. Not much we know how he's going to fare, but against a good pass rush. And Matt Ryan does not look comfortable. And I get it. It's a new team, new system, but they're good. I don't think they get it figured out today, unfortunately. I just don't think so. So I got the Chiefs winning the game. All right. Buffalo Bills on the road to Miami. Now, I don't know what the temperature is in Miami today, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be hot and muggy. So I'm actually pulling up the temperature right now just to see what the temperature is going to be like today. And it's going to feel like 94 degrees. That's what it says there. It says 86, but with the humidity, it's going to feel like 94 degrees. And that's part of the reason why I like Miami. And probably some of you are like, what? But you just talked about the Bills being in the top tier. Yes, but today the matchup, I don't like it. And for a couple of reasons. Number one, the temperature, right? And I could be totally wrong, right? I mean, of course, this is just a prediction. This is not, hardcore facts. But this is I'm going to tell you why I feel like the Dolphins have a chance today. Coming off a great win, the offense looks pretty good, right? Pretty good. That's an understatement again. You're at home. Buffalo Bills are going to be without Micah Hyde for the foreseeable future. They put him on the IR, and they're missing 3 other of their starting defensive backs against a team with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Now, Tua, listen, people are, oh my God, Tua is this? Like, listen, he looks good because look who he's throwing to, and he's still underthrowing guys. So I'm still not on the Tua bandwagon yet. I thought he was solid. He did what he needed to do. He threw, 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I'm not going to say the guy is trash, but let's just pump the brakes. Let's get a little bit more under his belt before we can start saying, you know what, this guy is the guy. And this is the thing with social media and even like NFL Network, ESPN, they start writing these guys and they just start making guys superstars that are not necessarily superstars. And they do this in all sports, especially in basketball too. Okay. Look, I like Tua. He's nice, but let's just be real. But I do like the Dolphins to win this game. It'll be close. This is going to be another shootout. Expect that. So if you're going to take the over in this game, I forgot what it was. Take the over. This is going to be a shootout for sure. I'd be surprised if this was a defensive stalemate just because both offenses and how they work. All right. And the Dolphins defense is pretty good. I think Byron Jones is coming back today. That's another formidable corner that they have. But we'll have to see but I like the Dolphins. That's one of my upset picks of the week. Okay. All right. Moving on. I got the Lions versus the Falcons. Look, the Lions, they're trying. They had a really good win last week. This is a big game for them. This is kind of a determination on like which way their season is going to go. Now, I'm going to take the Vikings because they're at home and it's not a primetime game. It's a divisional game. And I think they'll get the job done because somehow, some way, the Lions might find a way to lose the game. But if the Lions somehow win this game, be on the lookout for them. Not saying they're going to go and win a Super Bowl or be in the playoff contention, but they can ruin the seasons for a couple of teams because of how they play. This is a gritty team. They win gritty, okay? But I do like the Vikings in this matchup today. All right, we got the Bills on the road. Excuse me, not the Bills. The Ravens on the road, traveling to Foxborough. The line on this was pretty close. I've seen it as low as 2. I think it's at 3 now. But the Ravens coming off a tough loss in a game they probably should have won. All right. They're 1-1. They should be 2-0. They're heading into New England. New England is just New England. I mean, they just, I don't know. I don't know what I can say. They won't have enough offensive firepower. Now, Bill Belichick is a defensive genius. He might find a way to slow Lamar Jackson down for some time, but at the end of the day, they don't have enough to compete with the Ravens. And the Ravens, you can see, they can score. They can score in bunches if they need to, with their wide receiver core, their tight ends, and of course Lamar Jackson, who's probably going to be an early candidate for MVP, just if he continues to keep playing the way he's playing. All right. Bengals suffering a loss to my Dallas Cowboys right last week. This is that Super Bowl hangover. You thought that their line would be better. They added guys, but it's about the same, if not worse. Joe Burrow is looking up on his back more often than not. I believe he got sacked 5 or 6 times last week for a total of like 11 sacks this year in 2 games. And what did the New York Jets do well? They get after the quarterback. I like the Jets. Jets, 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 Jets. And I picked this pick because I like the matchup, right? But, you know, the Jets could lose this game too, but I'm going to ride with them. I'm going to ride with them because their defense is solid. And it looks like they got some stuff going on offense with Garrett Wilson had a tremendous game last week. Joe Flacco looked pretty good. And I'm not saying it's been a while since Joe Flacco was a Baltimore Raven, but he's got some familiarity maybe with some of the personnel that might have still been there when he was a Raven. So who knows? But so Joe Flacco gets to start against the Bengals. I like the Jets, and I think the Bengals are going to fall to 0-3, and they're going to be in serious trouble. They're in serious trouble now, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, Raiders at Titans. I'm going to take the Titans, man. They're at home. I think they're going to be a little bit more prepared. The Raiders are going to fall to 0-3 on 4. I'm not trying to throw hate on them. This is the local team here. I like the Raiders at first, but I just think that, that they should have won that game last week. They had a complete meltdown. I think they're still going to feel the effects of that. And then now you have to go on the road to Tennessee, and it's going to be tough. Tennessee, even though they're not as potent as they once were, they lost A.J. Brown there. They traded him. They're still a well-coached team, and they're going there to Nashville. If this game was here in Las Vegas, I might have been more inclined to pick the Raiders, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the Titans for this game today. All right, Eagles and the Commanders. Eagles all the way. Although it's a divisional game, it might be a little bit closer than what we think. But I'm going to take the Eagles just based off of the statistics and what they've been able to do so far. Jaguars at the Chargers. This one might be close than what people think. Now I'm going to take the Chargers. They're at home, but watch Justin Herbert. His ribs are pretty banged up, so you're gonna have to really pay close attention to him. Jacksonville is still a young team, still finding ways to lose and win games. So I like the Chargers though. Even though I like the coaching matchup in their favor of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have no faith in Brandon Staley. I really don't think that this guy's a great head football coach. So he'll probably screw it up at some point. So Rams at Cardinals. This one I kind of was like back and forth. Cardinals coming off of a hell of a win last week in a game that cost me money because the punk ass Raiders couldn't finish the job. Okay. Rams coming into this game. I think they probably played down to the level of the Falcons because they had that game at hand. They let the Falcons come back in, and then you have the rush, the thrill, the adrenaline from the Cardinals coming from behind. I still think the LA Rams will prove too much for the Arizona Cardinals, and I think they'll get the job done on the road here. Where do they play at? They play in Scottsdale, right? All right, Falcons and Seahawks. This is the battle of the birds. This one will be a close one. I'm going to take the Falcons. I'm going to take the Falcons to win this one. The Falcons, again, second year in a row, they play hard. They're in these games. They just find a way to lose it or can't win it in the end. I think today they get in the win column. They get in the win column and they travel to Seattle and take on the Seattle Seahawks, who are coming off of a loss themselves. But I in the battle of the birds, I'm going to take a Falcon over the Seahawk any day of the week. All right. This is a big one. Green Bay versus Tampa Bay. I am going to take the Green Bay Packers, even though they're on the road. This is probably one I'm putting this out there. I don't jump off teams just off of one win or a couple wins. I need to see something from Green Bay to determine whether or not I'm going to be not on their bandwagon, but if I'm going to be in the business of the Green Bay Packers, I need to see something. Win, lose, or draw. This is a good matchup. Obviously, they got right against the Bears last week, which, you should get right against the Bears. They're the Chicago Bears. You got blown out week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings. This is a potential playoff matchup right here. So, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks battling it out. Tom Brady struggling a little bit personally, missing some offensive linemen. They haven't looked like super great, obviously, offensively. They got the job done last week, but Green Bay could probably pose a threat for them. So we'll have to see. But I'm going to take the Packers in this one. So we'll have to go with that one. All right, Sunday Night Football. San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Mile High City. I like San Francisco 49ers. I think that they know their system better right now than what Russell Wilson knows the Denver Broncos system. Now, and I think they're probably coached a little bit better. Their defense is still their defense, and this will be a good game. It'll be very entertaining, but I think in the end, Jimmy Garoppolo, more steady at the helm. They'll get the job done, and they're going to beat the Denver Broncos and hand them their second loss of the season. All right. And finally, to wrap up, we got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium. 5:15 kickoff Pacific Standard Time against the New York Football Giants. Giants are coming off of their 2-0, back-to-back wins. But listen, this one is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting because the Dallas Cowboys, everyone had them left for dead, including myself. I did not think they were going to pull off that win against the Bengals. Cooper Rush looked pretty good early, but that's because Kellen Moore is pretty decent. I'll give him that in the beginning of games, and then he starts to go away from things. Why? Because the defensive coordinators from other teams are just better at their job than he is, and they figure out ways. They find their adjustments, and they couldn't get it done. They're gonna have to score points now. Saquon Barkley traditionally has not really been a Cowboy killer. He's starting the year good. Daniel Jones is pretty solid, not bad. They're coaching. The Giants have better coaching. And I'm probably going to be kicking myself in the butt for this. I'm going to be a homer, and I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to win this game. It's going to be close. They're probably going to win by a field goal or maybe 1 point. It's going to be close just because I feel like the Cowboys defense is legit. And I think they can get to Daniel Jones with Micah Parsons. I know he's got the flu, but hopefully he can take something, get some vitamin C in him, and he'll be ready to rock and roll to come Monday to get those sacks. So we'll have to see what happens there. If they keep running the football too, that'll help them out with Cooper Rush. But I like the Cowboys in this one. All right, almost up out of time here. Clutch picks of the week. Last week I went 3-1. First week I went 1-3. I bounced back last week with a 3-1 to finish overall this so far going into this week 4-4. So I'm looking to stay on the positive side of things today. So here are my clutch picks of the week. I got the Miami Dolphins, I got the Jets, I got the Texans, and I got the Packers winning these games today. Because I don't know, that's just because that's what I picked. So no rhyme or reason to that. So there I am. But that's it. That's all I got today, man. Pretty quick show on just a little bit under half an hour, but man, dude, every week I keep coming on here and say I love football season. It's the best time of year, man. It's like Christmas for adults. So, but nonetheless, be on the lookout for my next show next week. I'm probably around the same time again. I'm still playing around with the times, just trying to figure some things out. But hey, man, you guys enjoy yourself. Enjoy your Sunday. Have fun. Drink responsibly. And we'll see you guys on the next show at next week's Sunday. And again, remember to follow the show and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit me up on the grid, or you can hit me up on the Clutch Sports Talk YouTube page, man, or hit me up on my social media platforms. I'm everywhere. So check me out. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping in and taking the time to watch the show this morning. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. This is Clutch Sports Talk NFL Sunday morning with me, Ryan Flowers. Like I always say, never settle till the work is done.